down by about 30% on every one of those buildings. So you immediately start coming up with new revenue sources, and that can be passed on to I-73 corridor, and that's how we're going to have to get creative, because we know we're going to have a lack of funding again next year, another $1 billion cut.
I-73, Congressman Barrett.
I said earlier in my comments, the #1 project in South Carolina needs to be I-73. It's more than an economic engine for South Carolina, which it is tremendous, but it's a safety route too. If I'm blessed enough to be governor, or anybody on the stage, imagine if a hurricane hits during the middle of peak season, we've got to make sure we can keep our citizens safe and secure. When we're talking about securing funding, one of the things that I'm excited about is the Palmetto Energy Project. It's our project of how we can bring jobs and growth to South Carolina. There's 4 billion cubic feet of natural gas off the coast of South Carolina, ladies and gentlemen. The National Petroleum Institute says it could be 2,200 jobs and $250 million of royalties if you equate what's happening in the Gulf Coast. That's money that we could use as we see fit. What I would propose is that we use 70% for infrastructure, 20% for law enforcement, and 10% to roll back into the economy through alternatives or renewable energies. Also, you couple that with nuclear energy, you're talking about a tremendous tax base that we can use for that infrastructure.
Mr. McMaster.
Well, I'd do whatever it takes, because until we get I-73 there, Myrtle Beach will never reach its full potential. The Grand Strand will never reach its full potential. It is just about impossible sometimes to get in or get out at any time of night and day. But that's primarily a federal responsibility. There's another example of where Washington's not doing what it's supposed to be doing. That thing should have been built a long time ago. What I would do as your governor is I would work as hard as I could with our congressional delegation. Again, you got to work with people and see to it that that thing is funded, because after all, we're sending the money up there and we're not getting it back. We're one of the donor states. We need to be sure that we get more money back. We need to have I-73, because that will open up that economic engine. It's opened in Charleston. It's opened in Beaufort. You can get to those places. Greenville has become an economic engine because of enlightened leadership and the kind of team approach that I'm talking about. So, and also I would take Department of Natural Resources and give them parks and recreation, keep tourism as a separate agency. And tourism needs to sell Myrtle Beach every day globally, and our other economic engines.
Ms. Haley.
You know, I-73 is important from a couple of different levels. First of all, tourism is our #2 industry, and we need to understand we've got to do whatever we can to grow it. Everybody sees the complications of getting to Myrtle Beach, and when you see that, you see the loss of jobs, you see the loss of economic development, you see the loss of companies coming in because it's hard for them to do that. And so I think what you will see me do is meet with our federal delegation every single quarter so that we understand exactly where we are with that project, and then go back to our state and understand again, it's not what you spend, it's how you spend. It is priorities. It is understanding that if we think tourism is important, if we think jobs are important, then we need to show it. And we need to show it by the way that we spend, and we need to show it by the way that we act.
Because of time constraints, we're going to cut the closing statements to 1 minute apiece for all of our candidates. And we'll start with Lieutenant Governor Andre Bauer.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm running for governor to take on the tough issues. There's a lot of great folks running for governor, but most of them don't want to talk about the politically incorrect things that are going on in South Carolina, in this country. Somebody's got to start having this discussion. Look, we know schools are struggling in South Carolina. We continue to throw money at it. It's not fixing the problem. We're going to have to do something to get those parents back engaged. We've lost them somewhere along the way. Whether you look at these social programs, we can't afford them anymore. The first time in history of this country we had the smallest amount of paychecks coming from private business and the largest number of people receiving government goods and services in the history of this country, even during the Depression. We better wake up and have these discussions. If you look at economic development, I'm the only one that's been out there doing it for 8 years, and I did it with no funding from the state. I'm the only one on this stage that gave up their government paycheck and didn't have to spend all the money that my agency was given. 1 year I gave back over $400,000. I can tell you I can make the budget work. I'm a businessman first and foremost, and I think that speaks volumes when you have to deal with what government is continuing to pose on the small business owner today. Thank you for being here tonight, and I hope you'll give me your vote.
3rd District Congressman Gresham Barrett, 1 minute.
Ladies and gentlemen, I believe in God, and I know with Him all things are possible. And I believe if we're going to take this nation back, we're going to do it one state at a time. If I didn't believe that, I wouldn't be here tonight. You want to see a state where your sons and daughters can graduate and take jobs in Florence or Columbia or my hometown of Westminster, not Charlotte or Atlanta or Washington, D.C. where the next job is across the street, not across the nation, where small business and entrepreneurs are the heart and soul of this economy, not government. We've got our best days ahead of us. We need a leader that can pull South Carolina together. I have been blessed to be a congressman from South Carolina for the last 7.5 years, and I would be honored to be your governor. And tonight, I ask for your support and your vote. God bless.
Thank you, Mr. Barrett. South Carolina Attorney General Henry McMaster.
Well, from the upstate to the Midlands, from the mountain to the sea, South Carolina is one wonderful sight to behold. And right here in the PD, we see it every day. We are blessed with talented people, innovative people, plentiful resources, and I believe we can achieve any dream that we set our minds to. I have a plan to put South Carolina back on the path to prosperity. And of the candidates, and they're good candidates, I believe that I am the one who has the executive leadership experience, a record of accomplishment, working with the legislature, sometimes fighting them, sometimes pulling them, but a record of accomplishment and the maturity, the judgment, and the credibility with the legislature, the other institutions, and the business community to get it done. As governor, I'll lower taxes, recruit high-paying jobs, and reignite our economic engines. So I want to ask you to join me. I believe our new day is about to begin, and I want us all to work together to show the world what South Carolina can do. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And now State Representative Nikki Haley from Lexington.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for having us here. You know, the elections of 2010 are going to matter on the state and federal level, because we have seen a lot of Republicans who learn the talking points but haven't learned the conservative actions associated with the talking points. When I grew up in my family's business, the one thing we consistently noticed was how hard it was to make a dollar and how easy it was for government to take it. We need to now make government understand that people pay this money in, and how we spend it matters. I can tell you I'm the only one on this panel that has opposed the stimulus package, because all it did was run up the credit card debt, and 2 years from now we will have less money to pay for it. We are going to be in a budget crisis, and you're going to need an accountant to help us get through it, but we will do that. I will close by saying this. I am a woman that understands that through the grace of God, with Him all things are possible. I am the daughter of immigrant parents that reminded us every day how blessed we were to live in this country. I am the sister of a man who fought in Desert Storm, and I still remember what it was like when we didn't know if he'd come home. I'm the wife of a husband that puts on a military uniform every day and loves his job. I'm the mother of 2 children in public schools, and I care about what their education looks like, and I care about what kind of government they're going to have. But I'm a legislator that knows what good government is, and I want the people of this state to know what that feels like. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Ms. Haley. Thank you, Mr. McMaster, Congressman Barrett, Mr. Bauer. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your service as well to our state and to our country. And speaking of thank yous, we want to take some time right now to express our gratitude of all the folks here at Francis Marion University tonight, especially Dr. Fred Carter and his wife, and also his entire staff at this fine school. We also want to thank our other partners in our Voice of the Voter debates on News 13 WBTW, Dr. David DeCenzo and his team at Coastal Carolina University in Conway. Many of them are with us tonight as well. We also want to thank them. And remember, Coastal Carolina will take center stage in just under 48 hours from now as the Democratic gubernatorial candidates take part in our second Voice of the Voter debate, and that will be on campus at Coastal Carolina at Wheelwright Auditorium. That debate also scheduled for Thursday night, 7 o'clock. It will be broadcast live on WBTW News 13, online on our website, scnow.com, and again nationally on C-SPAN, and that will be 7 o'clock Eastern Time. We also want to thank you, our audience here at the Chapman Auditorium at the McNair Science Building at FMU. Great job. You heard from the candidates. Now it's up to you and all the folks watching to have your voice heard at the ballot box next Tuesday. Exercise your right as a citizen and vote. It is so important. The South Carolina primaries are June 8th. From all of us at News 13, the Morning News, and scnow.com, thank you for watching, and good night from Francis Marion University in Florence.
Thursday, 3 Democrats face off in South Carolina